the council table. Oh, not that table, the council table. Get started. Mahalo e lele and happy Tongan week. I will kick us off with a karakia. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, he hi aki ana te ata kura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, tihei, mauri ora. We don't have any apologies, but we do have lateness for Councillor Paul. I move the motion. Do I have a seconder? She is here. She's just for lateness. Councillor Panovich, thank you. Let's take it to a vote. You can. Mix it up, Councillor Brown. And that is passed. Announcements by the Mayor. Look, a short meeting is a happy meeting. I don't think there's anything really controversial on here, so, you know, let's just speak when we need to speak. Awesome. Any conflicts of interest? Excellent. Confirmation of minutes. I move the motion to approve the minutes from the 29th of June. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Foon. Now put the motion to a vote. And that has passed. There are no items not on the agenda and there are no requests for public participation. We now come to the approval of the updated Wellington Regional Leadership Committee Agreement in terms of reference. Please welcome Sean Ordain to introduce the report.
Kia ora. Before you sits a report from that is a duplicate of that given to other councils in the region asking for a change to the terms of reference to the Wellington Regional Leadership Committee so that it may consider the future development strategy for the region. The future development strategy is a document required under the National Policy Statement on Urban Development, which was brought in by an amendment to the RMA about 2 years ago. Under this, each council must plan for the next 30 years, and the key thing that a future development strategy does is synchronise the need for infrastructure investment with land use, and it gives a sense of priority to those things. The reason why this has been done by the metropolitan councils across the region is because that duty is laid upon each of us and the regional council, and given that the land markets and the investments often take place at a scale larger than a single local authority, to maximise the effort and the efficiency of your officers, we have worked together to create a single integrated strategy. That strategy is now to be considered by a joint subcommittee of the Wellington Regional Leadership Committee, and to do that, these terms of reference need to change. To assist you in your consideration of this paper, Kim Kelly, the Program Director from the Wellington Regional Leadership Committee, has joined me, and we await your questions.
Welcome, Kim. And does anyone have any questions? Councillor Pennant.
Thanks, Sean, for your help with my proposed amendment. So can I just confirm, and for everyone else's benefit, that there is going to be some revision of the terms, given the committee's been in operation for 2 years? Thank you.
We were advised from the committee that a health check is being undertaken. The results of that health check will likely result in the review of the terms of reference for the committee.
Are you doing questions on the amendment now? Could we just bring it up to just have a look as well?
Yep.
It's been circulated, hasn't it? Councillor Pannett's amendment. I just wanted to check. Obviously, as my friend Councillor Pannett is, I am deeply concerned about ecological protection and climate change. But I guess I just wanted to check that there was no sort of conflict with sort of the growth issues that we're dealing with by raising the importance of these particular factors alongside that, because probably I'm strongly in favour of growth and housing the people that are coming to our wider region.
So whilst the strategy is yet to be finalised, we can tell you that we are already providing across the region many more opportunities for housing than is required by future demand. I believe Director Kelly can give us the numbers.
Oh, that's a flash title. In the future development strategy, so 30 years, we require 99,000 new homes. Now, that's an inflated figure because under the national policy statement you have to add all these margins. And at the moment, with all the plan changes across the whole region, there's enough housing for 180,000 homes, so plenty. And lots of them are in the metro areas because all the councils have gone through plan changes.
Wonderful. So you don't see this amendment as having any conflict with those?
No, we do not.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm not seeing any further questions, so thank you, Sean. Councillor Randall.
In terms of the priorities that this statement already has, what is the current highest priority?
Are you talking about in terms of that amendment?
Yes. Well, I'm just saying this amendment amends the priorities under the terms of reference. So what's the current state of the priority for this committee and this terms of reference? Sorry.
Yep. So the agreement that you've got in front of you has the committee responsible for two things. One is regional spatial planning, which is the future development strategy, and the other is regional economic development. So we take this amendment back to the committee for them to agree. It would, on paper, it would widen their scope, but actually they're also at the moment got 3 climate change projects underway under the regional spatial planning.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on the amended substantive and the amendment? Wonderful. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, Kim. Kim Kelly. I will move the motion with the changes to the substantive in red on your screens. So just for clarity, our regional body's doing the future development strategy on our behalf and for all councils. It is optional, so we need to extend its mandate as it isn't finished yet. We also need to authorise it to hear public submissions on our behalf rather than each council to do the hearings. It'll be quicker, enable us to meet our timeframes for getting the FDS agreed. It requires WCC to nominate a councillor to sit on the hearing subcommittee, and the Deputy Mayor and myself have nominated Councillor Brown and Councillor Matthews as the alternate. And this is what the amendment is, as you can see. Deputy Mayor Foon will second this. Would you like to speak now?
Yeah. Kia ora, and really I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Kim Kelly and the team. It is a mighty piece of work getting around 11 councils to get an agreement to move the projects forward. So just it is quite an overwhelming task, and I have had the privilege of being in the room on behalf of the Mayor. But I would like to assure you that in that room there is a very lively and thorough understanding from all mayors, iwi, local and central government on what we need to achieve in the next 30 years. And particularly I do want to thank Councillor Brown and Councillor Matthews for being up for the hearings. That's going to be really helpful and important that we are represented well. So thank you.
We now move to debate. I will hand over to Councillor Pennant for her amendment.
Thank you, Mayor Whanau, and thank you to the staff for the work on this. Look, I have some commitment to working regionally, so to some extent it makes sense, but I do want to just register my quite strong concerns about the fact that regionally we get one vote, and we often have very conservative councils. There's likely to be a conservative government incoming, although I may be wrong. But it's going to happen at some point anyway, unfortunately. So that can, from my perspective, lead to some undesirable outcomes. But look, I want to try and be in the room and be constructive, so I've just put this amendment up just to note that it is advising giving consideration. It doesn't say you have to. So we're just going to task the Mayor with when the terms are probably looked at, because it's time to really bring in those challenges around climate change and ecological protection, because, and I raised these concerns when the committee first came into being, there is still a very strong focus on quite a traditional economic concept. This council has voted for the declaration of a climate and ecological emergency. It is an emergency, not just, a problem. And certainly in protecting the climate and our ecological systems, that does not mean that anyone is unhoused. That would be repugnant, obviously. It just means that we do need to act within our carrying capacity. The world's resources are finite. That is a scientific fact, not really for debate. And how we use them is of grave concern, and obviously a strong equity focus. I understand that there is a strong drive from iwi on these sorts of issues, which is really important. So I don't think it would be inconsistent. But of course, other people have more authority to speak on that point. But I think just worthwhile noticing that we have to keep the foot on the no, it's not really on the pedal, on the bike pedal, on this yeah, that's right. The greatest crisis of our age needs the priority, and it's time we make some really serious progress. Kia ora.
Thank you, Councillor. This will be seconded by Councillor Matthews. Would you like to speak now? We now go to the debate on this amendment. So first with Councillor Free and then Councillor Randall.
Thank you, everybody, and I'm sorry I can't be with you. I've just decided to stay home with my cough. I would be very happy to support all of this. Look, I note, Councillor Pennant, I do note your concerns, but I also note that you're just asking the committee to give consideration to it, and I think that's fair enough. I actually think that's putting a priority out there, but not binding them to anything that if it proves to be something they can't accommodate. So I'm really more than happy to support it.
Wonderful, thank you. Councillor Randall.
Thank you for this amendment. I'm not convinced by this amendment. I think that it covers an area where we have not really discussed what the top priorities are for this council. We've just been through a long-term plan process which outlined 9 strategic priorities for the council, which includes climate change and the environment, of course, but also affordable housing, transport systems, and community facilities, and especially I'm thinking of revising a resilient economy. The problem I have with these is that these are really going into the growth framework, and yet these 2 priorities, as was noted by the officer, actually expands the scope of what this terms of reference and this committee is to cover, and it's also not putting growth as an element. I mean, it's, the key with having a high priority is other things are lower priority, and I'm afraid that we really need to balance all the priorities of this region. This region is struggling. Businesses are trying to get ahead, and we're trying to get our costs under control. There's a whole lot of pressures, and stating that these 2 priorities are the 2 top priorities from this council I don't think is appropriate, and I don't think we've even come to an agreement that that's true. So for that reason, I'm going to vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Chung.
Thank you very much. I would like to note that I have the greatest respect for Councillor Pennant and her views on the climate and her intentions and what she's actually trying to achieve here. However, we've had several discussions and meetings and briefings on our economic situation, and our economic situation is very, very critical at the moment, and I don't agree with putting this in as a priority because we have so many other problems that we need to resolve first. We need to sort out our economic issues to be able to drive the city forward, to be able to afford to continue our levels of service that we're currently giving, and also we have a huge capital development plan that we actually need to understand. So I don't agree with putting this higher priority on this, so I will be voting against it.
Thank you, Councillor Chung. Deputy Mayor Foon.
Kia ora, and I would like to thank Councillor Pennant for bringing this amendment, and I'm happy to support. Councillor Pennant, I can tell you that at the last meeting I was out, I channeled you a little bit and stood up for these values in some of our discussions, and I was heartily reminded by some of the other mayors that they are all very concerned about thinking about their impact on future generations. So I felt really strongly that this is definitely a consideration. Having said that, I don't think we can keep bringing it to the forefront enough, particularly the ecological impact. So I'm happy to support and look forward to hearing this, seeing this in the terms of reference.
Wonderful. Any further debate? No? Right of reply.
Just really quickly, I think what we need to understand is that climate is an economic issue. We have had people dying in our country this year due to climate change. We have had billions of dollars of damage and billions of dollars more are coming. So we need to stop separating out those issues. They are one and the same. And when we have a good climate, we'll have a good economy and good housing. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you, Councillor. Let's now put this particular amendment to a vote.
Could I have a division, please? Oh.
And that has passed. Thank you. We now move back to the amended substantive. Is there any debate? Oh my goodness. In that case, I have no right of reply. We just move it to a vote. Wonderful, and that has passed. Thank you very much. We now move to the annual dog report. Please welcome Mark Pattermore and Helen Jones to introduce this report.
Thank you, Mayor Whānau. So each year we are required to present an annual dog control report. There's lots of interesting information in there. I'll take it as read, though I won't seek to summarise the report. I have Jude Austin with me as well, who's open to taking questions through the chair.
Any questions? Councillor McNulty.
Sorry, kia ora. I'm wondering, given there seems to be an increase in the number of reports coming through, whether we've given consideration to amending Fix-It to actually having a specific query relating to dog issues. I needed to put one in myself the other day and it's in the other and you need to put it through. So I'm just wondering if that's something in terms of reporting into you guys that we're actually missing at the moment.
Kia ora. Is it like dog complaints that you were wishing to talk about?
Yeah, anything. So just, we always take our current situation. So on our street, we have a few unfenced dogs and we have droppings as a kind of current issue. So been working with that problem, and it's usually open up, fix it, put it in as an other by category, and then detail it in the text there. But it's not one of those things where, you know, we've got specific classifications for pipes or noise issues and the like. So I'm just wondering if, in terms of the customer service experience, should we be bringing dog-related issues up to the top level?
We are looking at changing some of our approaches, in particular with fouling. So fouling is very difficult to infringe or manage because of you have to catch them in the act. So we're changing that approach towards if you're not carrying poo bags while walking your dog, you're subject to an infringement instead.
I think in relation to the Fix-It app, we can take that question on notice and investigate whether how easy that might be to do in terms of providing that category. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Madam Chair, I just make a quick comment. So in the Fix-It app, one of the things that we're always trading off is the need to provide for the user to put more information and the usability of it. So the more information you ask the user to put in, the less likely they are to actually then carry on and complete the Fix-It. So we're kind of always trading off how much do we actually, you know, pull down menus with categories and things like that, just free-form field where you can just say what the issue is and then let the software try and determine how to categorise it. But I'll have a look at it, definitely.
No, I appreciate it. I wonder if some A/B testing might be suitable, because just the neighbours that were involved are dog owners. They have 2 dogs themselves, and they didn't know that Fix-It could be used for issuing dog-related issues. So it seems like we might not be getting the full picture of what's happening with dog issues for our dog reporting if we're not capturing it all through Fix-It.
Yeah, just a comment on that part. We have measured response times to all animal and dog complaints, so we strongly encourage the phone calls through the service centre so we can dispatch our ACOs immediately.
Councillor Brown.
Do we need more people chasing bad dog behaviour? The reason I asked that question is that when I read the report, it did seem to me that there were quite a few complaints, I think like 2,000, and the number of infringement notices we actually put out was tiny relative to the complaints. And I've had a chap who's been relentlessly emailing me about his dislike of dogs and his belief that the council isn't doing enough to protect the population or the footpath from dog bad behaviour. I mean, do you feel like we need more resource in this space?
I think we cut our cloth. We work with the resources that we've got. There have been particular issues in some of our reserves, and we've been assigning some of our resources in that area. I mean, of course, any officer is always going to say we could do with more resources, but acknowledging we're also working in a climate of constraint, we cut our cloth to use our resources as best as we can.
On that, but I mean, because of the additional number of dogs, I mean, I guess I don't know what that actually adds up to in terms of revenue, but obviously there is additional revenue that's come through from all of these registered dogs. I mean, look, I have no axe to grind at all in this space, but I mean, do you feel that it is an area that warrants more council work, or are you comfortable that actually, you know, that dog behaviour is okay and we're sort of managing it at an appropriate level?
It's certainly under review as our resources. Due to one of the strategies of constantly patrolling the wildlife sensitive areas, we are under review in the resource numbers.
Thank you. I have 2 more councillors wanting to ask questions, and then I'm going to draw a line. Councillor Chung.
Thank you very much. I've been looking through the stats on this and looking at menacing by behaviour, and I believe that that's quite a severe thing. So how do you define the difference between menacing by behaviour and menacing by breed characteristic? So.
In the Act, there's a schedule right at the back that actually lists the breeds that are menacing by breed. The purpose of that is to prevent imports of any more of those dogs and breeding of those animals. When you're menacing by deed, which is the behaviour, that's normally an assessment after an attack. So we take the dog through a risk matrix where there's a score, and depending on the score of what that matrix puts out based on the attack or the incident is whether it becomes menacing by deed or behaviour, the higher the number can move you into dangerous. So if there's a really high score on the matrix, it becomes a dangerous dog.
Sorry, okay, I volunteer with animal control, and we were trained that when you assist the animal control officers to actually catch these dogs, I said, look, are there dogs that I should actually be extra careful with? And he said, the problem with it is that you can't actually identify the different dogs. So when you're looking at that characteristic, the breed characteristics, he said, there are so many sort of crossbreeds, and so they may have those
Councillor, can we reframe to a question?
Okay,
Thank you.
So even if you have those lists of breeds that you should avoid, how can anyone be expected to define the difference? Like, it seems that the menacing by behaviour is significantly lower than the breed characteristics. So is there another way of actually categorising these when you get complaints about them?
The menacing by breed are only actually 4 dogs, and I can provide the breeds for you later. They're probably quite unusual sort of looking dogs. It's the crossbreeds that are sort of more involved in the behaviour incidents. So you can see breeds that don't look anything like the breed that's listed. And there's no one particular type of breed that attacks more than the other. There are a group of dogs that are, have more of a tendency, but sometimes the breed will surprise you. A spaniel was involved in an attack this year. No, I think it was a Springer.
Okay, I think we're going. So I'm going to move to our final question from Councillor Free.
Yeah, just thank you, everybody. I guess I'm just a little bit concerned we might be missing out on quite a few numbers here in terms of dog attacks. Is there any chance, what can we do to encourage people to report even minor things?
Last year we launched a yellow ribbon campaign, which was focused around giving dogs a space. What it also did was highlighted Wellington's mahi in dog attacks and protecting public safety. We're about to launch a survey into Wellington to see what difference we've made with the yellow ribbon campaign. So this is going to bring attacks and information more back into the mine.
Thank you. I'd actually like to probably take some other things offline. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, I will be moving this report, and thank you both to our officers. So as we know, there has been a massive increase in dog ownership post the pandemic, and as a result, we're seeing a small increase in infringements and uncontrollable dogs. So this is why the review of the dog policy is very timely. I also want to thank those animal welfare officers that helped out during the Hawke's Bay cyclone. Really nice to see WCC doing their bit, and as we know, our animals are our babies. Councillor O'Neill will second the paper. Or do you wish to speak? Okay, we now move to debate. Noting that we all had a lot of chatter about dogs last week. Is there any debate? Councillor Chung.
I would actually see more work going into responding to dog attacks and responding to issues with dogs. Now, as part of the debate, we were told that it's very difficult to actually videotape. We can videotape a dog sort of doing his number 2s on the street or whatever, but not so easy to identify where they come from. But I think that when that can be done, when that can be done, we should have some way of actually reporting that to animal control to say that, look, this is where the dog lives, and I've actually spoken to the owners, and can they come up? Because a dog control officer going to visit a dog owner has a lot more emphasis than a neighbour, going to say that, look, I've picked up after your dog. So, and I think that the policy that we bring in with ensuring that people carry bags or something to sort of pick up after their dogs is actually going to be, I would imagine it's going to be very, very difficult to enforce, because how do you actually do it? If they have it in their pockets, it doesn't mean say that they're going to use it, and they can be carrying it around on their lead, but we need them to use them. We need them to look after them. So I think that we're not going far enough on trying to sort of resolve or try to alleviate the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate? Councillor Randall.
Yes, I mean, I think there are obviously a lot more dogs in the city than there used to be. I just want to note that I think we should make it easier to report any dog incidents of any type, and support the question that Councillor McNulty outlined about possibly updating the Fix-It. So I just asked the officers to perhaps note these comments, and but dogs are an important part of people's lives, so we just want to make sure that good owners aren't bothered but bad owners are identified. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor O'Neill.
Kia ora, just to state for the record that the place to make changes around the concerns that both of you have raised would be in the dog and animal policy, and today's paper is just about agreeing to the content of the report and noting receiving the information.
I'm not seeing any further debate. I have no right of reply, so let's put it to a vote. Wonderful. That has passed. We now move to the reappointment of existing members of the District Licensing Committee. Please welcome back Mark and Helen to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mayor Whānau. So this report seeks approval to reappoint 3 DLC members. So there's 6 members whose terms are expiring on the 30th of September. There's 3 who've indicated they don't wish to continue, and we've got 3 remaining members who are Bill Acton, Kate Thompson, Brad Olson, who wish to renew their membership for the maximum term. If I can just add the report, so I'll take the report as read, but if I can just add the comment that we do need, as we don't have a lot of DLC members, we do need the DLC members that we have to continue to be able to process the alcohol licensing applications efficiently as quickly as possible, just as an additional comment.
Wonderful. Any questions? Councillor McNulty.
Given some of the media around decisions that, there's an impression that it's very difficult for a new bar, for instance, to open up or start trading, is there a contradiction between council's goals or objectives around, say, nightlife, and then what the responsibilities of DLC members are? Do you have any commentary around that?
I think so. When an alcohol licence is assessed, we seek the input is required from police, from Ministry of Health, and from our alcohol licensing inspectors. Obviously, each of those parties may be coming from different perspectives and looking for different things. Ministry of Health looking from their perceived impacts on health and those kind of things. The police are out there on the street, and our alcohol licensing officers have a certain degree of independence in terms of the report they put forward. So sometimes those reports, sometimes a recommendation goes when there's in alignment. Other times our officer may be disagreeing with the views of Ministry of Health and the police. Certainly there have been some recent times when it would appear that the other agencies have been opposing lots of applications. There has been a bit of a trend towards that in recent times.
No further questions. Thank you. And would anyone like to move the motion? Councillor Matthews, would you like to speak?
I would just like to thank our officers for their work, and thank you for the DLC members for putting their names forward again.
Excellent. I will second the motion. Oh, no, actually, Councillor Chung would like to second. Would you like to speak now?
Yep, thanks.
Great. Any debate?
I'm just wondering if there's a specific number of people, of alcohol premises that we would actually like. Like I keep hearing about different people saying that there's not enough in this area or there's too many in this area. So is there an optimal number that we actually have in mind for these things?
So we're in debate, but we'll take that offline.
Okay.
Yeah, but do you have anything to add?
Yes.
During
No,
debate?
that's it. Thanks.
Great, thank you. In that case, let's go to a vote. And that has passed. We now move to annual report on income received from and costs incurred in alcohol licensing for year 22-23. Please welcome back Mark and Helen.
Thank you again, Mayor Whānau. So yeah, we have the annual report of the alcohol licensing income. It's a legislative requirement that council provide this report. Perhaps just one, I'll take the report as read, but perhaps just one thing to mention. In February 2022, council approved a pandemic response plan. That plan took effect on the 1st of March 2022. That was important and necessary at the time, but just acknowledging that it did impact upon revenue. And you can see there on over the page, there was a few cases where we had a $1 fee for variation to alcohol licences and a $1 fee for holders of on-premises licences, and we didn't charge fees for reissuing special licences where the event might have been postponed. So just to mention, that's obviously a one-off, but that did impact upon our revenue during this period.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Excellent. Oh, Deputy Mayor Foon.
Yeah, kia ora, and thank you for the work. Is the government, are we required to produce a report to the government on the costs and how much Wellington ratepayers do end up paying? Is that something that the government seeks a national view on?
And so, KC Cole, yeah.
So the report is something that is required, is a legislative requirement to do, and it was agreed a couple of years ago that it would be 85% would be the cost recovery amount.
Right, okay, yep, great, thank you.
Thank you. No further questions, thank you very much. Do we have a mover for the motion? Councillor Matthews, would you like to speak? No. Excellent. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Young, would you like to speak? No. Excellent. Any debate? Nope. Let's go to a vote. And that is passed. All right, nearly there. Okay, we now move to actions, tracking and the forward program. Please welcome Stephen MacArthur to introduce both reports.
Kia ora, councillors. I don't propose to say too much about both of these reports, although there was a question that Councillor Pennant asked that we undertook to come back to, and that related to paying living wage for Te Papa and Tākina staff, which we do, and that's built into the operating budgets. The other comment I'd make is in terms of the forward program, the strategy and policy work program piece that was, I think, earlier identified would come to today's meeting. Given that the council recently adopted the priorities, outcomes and vision piece, we're just going back over looking at that work program and making sure that aligns. We're going to have a workshop or a briefing with council and propose to bring that back to our next council meeting in October. So just a little bit of an update on that.
Thank you. Questions? Deputy Mayor Foon.
Kia ora, Stephen, and I may not have heard just one of the things you said, but just to clarify, I was interested in the venues review action on the first page. Just can I ask that I'd like to know, just have we set a date for which council meeting that we'll be coming back to yet? And if possible, could we have a workshop or a briefing on that?
The best way of handling that actually is part of our service level workshop kind of conversations, part of the LTP, and we've got some material built in to have that conversation with council.
Great. So we will be able to discuss it in an informal setting. Great. Thank you.
Councillor Pennant.
Thanks for your answers to my questions. I really would like to press the point about having a bit more discipline about getting some of these actions done, and part of that is about having when the actions were agreed to. So, for example, the letter about the milk production, it really was like a couple of paragraphs and then flick it off. That was all that was required, but that was agreed last year. So I just think we need to be putting some timelines on ourselves.
What I'd say about that, or at a more general level, is that we will go through and kind of do a bit of a tidy up in terms of all of these actions, that any that are kind of outstanding that should have been dealt with by now, we will look at that. And I mean, a lot of these things are in progress genuinely, but the one that you have identified in terms of the letter on milk is probably something that's fallen through the cracks.
Councillor Calvert.
Thank you for referencing the strategy and policy forward work plan. But just wondering whether, obviously there's a general election next month, and whether whatever happens there, whether that's likely to impact on that program, and whether that's something that you should be considering, because I'm not sure when you're going to be bringing it back to this council.
I mean, I think I can't think offhand of anything that is directly on our policy and strategy work program, but you do make a relevant point. I think we'll consider that as part of that review in relation to council's priorities, but also anything that might well emerge from the results.
And will officers also be, when they're looking at the forward work programme, so whilst policies can be set or strategies, they have to have an action plan, and there has to be plans to implement them. As we go into the LTP, we know we have some significant financial constraints, and whether you'll be factoring that into when you're thinking about what the work program could look like, because obviously we don't want to work on a new strategy when we've got no resources to do anything about it.
Yeah, and I think, Councillor, there's a broader question, which is when Council actually does commit to developing a strategy, probably more so than a policy, and there is an associated action plan, then when that's signed off, I think Council does need to understand what the financial implications of that are, and kind of what an implementation track might look like, and that is something that ELT is particularly aware of, and that advice would come forward at the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. No further questions. I will remove these reports together. I have nothing to add. Would you like to second, Deputy Mayor? Anything to add?
No.
Any debate? Wonderful. Let's vote. And that is passed. We now move to committee reports, which is to confirm decisions from previous committee meetings. So with the leave of the meeting, we can move all 6 committee reports together. Would councillors be cool with that?
Yep. The health and safety report, can we do that separately?
Yep. We'll do the rest together, health and safety separately. Fantastic. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, we move to item 3.3 first. I will take the report as read. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to debate, because we do have Wendy and TJ in the room.
No, you don't.
I mean, no, we do not.
I'm sorry.
We've got Meredith.
Now! Wasn't expecting all that to be condensed. TJ is on his way if you don't.
If there are any questions, just check.
Do we have questions?
He's 2 seconds away.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all good.
We can do the others then.
Let's do the others.
Yeah.
Let's do the others. So the reports that we have. So 3.1 long-term plan, 3.2 long-term plan from 31st of May. The other one was 23rd of February. 3.4 environment and infrastructure from 3rd of August. 3.5 Regs Committee 22nd of June. 3.6 Regs Committee 24th of August. I'll move them. Questions?
Yep.
This is confusing.
Yeah, we can do questions.
Questions on that bulk of the report?
Yeah.
Yes. Go, Councillor Calvert.
It's about the Q2 performance report. Why is this coming to council sort of 4 months, 6 months after the committee meeting?
Sorry, I didn't pick up the detail of that question. Could you repeat that?
Well, this is a report of the Long-Term Plan Finance and Performance Committee meeting of the 23rd of February, which was in the last financial year and which is over 6 months ago, and just wondering why it's coming to this committee now.
Okay.
I mean, to council now.
Yeah.
Not earlier on.
My understanding is that it was accidentally left off the possibly an earlier agenda to bring it through council, and it's tidying this up now. So it was an oversight.
So these approvals, because council's going to be approving the spend that's already happened, is that an issue for anything, for audit, or?
I don't believe so, because it went through the full committee, and this is kind of an administrative step where the council, through our delegations, has that final approval.
But council's not an administrative step. I mean, this is where I think otherwise why would he bring it back through to council? So I'm just, you might have to come back to me later on, but I'd just be concerned, have we been contravening the Local Government Act in some way, because we didn't do this in the financial year that the changes were requested?
Through you, Mayor, I can assure you, you haven't been contravening the Local Government Act, and also to reassure you that we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. This is a tidying up step, and it is about monitoring performance.
Any further questions? Cool. As mentioned before, I will move the reports. Councillor O'Neill will second. Any debate? Councillor Calvert.
Yeah, because water's there, and I'm just going to talk about water, and approving the operational budget, albeit for last year, and we probably spent it. It does seem that we just don't have enough funding in our water for a number of reasons. I've just been trying to follow through on a leaking Toby that's been going on since March this year, and Wellington Water still can't tell me when it will be fixed, when it will be prioritised, and I really, we can't go out to the public and say that. They can't even tell me it's going to be next 2 or 3 months. So I'm using this because we're approving a budget which it's already happened, but anyway, I'm just bringing into question whether we have enough funding in our water infrastructure, repairs and maintenance, because obviously if you've got a leak that's going on for 6 months and still no repair date scheduled, I'm sure it's probably one of many, not just a one-off.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further debate? Chung.
I've actually also been reporting a significant number of leaks, maybe over 15 of them. And I find that the response back from Wellington Water has been exemplary. They've come back and explained to me exactly why that one hasn't been done yet, and they've also explained why there are some leaks that have been repeated, why they were starting to leak again, and they've explained exactly why that is. And so I have to say that I'm very impressed with the service that I've been receiving.
Thank you, Councillor. That's lovely.
Thank you for the feedback.
We love that. There's no more debate. I have nothing to say. So let's go to a vote for all the reports except for health and safety. Wonderful, that has passed. So now we're going back to 3.3, the health and safety performance report. We have questions. So Deputy Mayor Foon.
Yay, kia ora. Yes, thank you for the report. The questions I have, just noting the personal confrontation still increasing. Can you just give an outline as to if that's a broad stroke or is it in specific areas that we're having this situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's broad stroke, and we've talked about it for a little while now. We have noticed that it is increasing, but there aren't any specific hotspots in the city or in our service delivery where we're seeing more than others.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that it is a national issue. It is also a sector issue. I'm part of the Taituara Health and Safety Forum Working Group. We discussed this yesterday about how we can potentially work together as a sector to address this, noting that it's not just local government that are experiencing the increase in personal confrontation.
And just a follow-up question to that, how is this impacting on our staff and are you satisfied that, you know, are they leaving because of this, or are you satisfied that we've got good backup support in place and they're able to want to stay on to do their work?
I mean, we've done a lot of work with frontline teams to make sure that they have the right processes in place to deal with these situations well, and we continue to work really closely with them through a range of things, training, making sure they have the right protocols in place. There's buddying systems where needed. So there's a lot of work being done to support our staff.
Great, thank you. And one more question, just great graphs, thank you. Just the asset failure, just noticing that that's had a bit of a peak and then come down again, but can you just outline a little bit more around that and how will we need to address that?
Yeah, so there's some commentary in this paper about how the trends are going to look a little bit skewed for the next 6 months. A lot of that is driven by the new platform that we're now using, as well as quite a lot of focus on reporting. And so we're seeing higher volumes than what we saw before. Doesn't necessarily indicate that there are more problems, it's just people are getting better at reporting things.
Great.
Councillor McNulty.
Kia ora both. Just my favourite bugbear, psychosocial health and safety for employees. Are you guys aware of the incident in Dunedin where the chair of the community board racially abused a member of the public and the city council are unable to do anything apart from send them a letter? So you're aware of it?
Yes, we are aware of it.
So is it a fair statement to make that the conduct of elected members, short of doing anything essentially criminal or illegal, is basically unenforceable or unable to be policed by the H&S within the council organisation?
Perhaps I'll respond to that. So as the employer, my responsibility is to oversee the health, safety, well-being of the staff, and I share that duty with the elected members around this table as officers of the PCBU. It would be very difficult, of course, for a group of staff to raise issues of elected member behaviour directly with elected members without my support and the support of the Mayor and members of the council, and so it does rely on. It comes back to that good working relationship between the organisation and the governing body, and an adherence to standards of behaviour that people would expect of all of us, and the code of conduct. And just to add, and I would certainly raise through our mayor any concerns I might have if such a thing were to happen here.
Do we think staff feel empowered to bring that, whether it's through Meredith or the official channels to you, Barbara? Do you feel staff feel empowered to speak out about these things in the organisation?
Look, I think Meredith would probably tell you that we occasionally do have staff bringing a concern through our internal reporting process, and they need to feel safe to do that. Meredith, do you want to add?
I would agree with that, and we've talked about power distance ratio in the past. It is a factor. We are working hard on our speak up culture, regardless of the cause of psychosocial harm. And to your earlier point around the levers that we have available to us, you would have noted in that example that you provided from down in Dunedin, there was an investigation. But don't forget, under the Health and Safety at Work Act, just because officers in local government are exempt to a point, you are not as individuals. So if you as individuals cause harm, there is still factors within the Health and Safety at Work Act that you could have applied to you.
So that's an excellent point. So bearing that in mind with all of us around the table, have there been code of conduct breaches against elected members in this term around their conduct?
There are no formal code of conduct complaints from staff that I would be aware if there were.
Cool, thank you.
Generally, I would just add that these things are often raised informally.
Thank you.
No further questions. Thank you, officers. Okay, so Councillor Randall, are you happy to move this report as the Deputy Chair?
Yes, I'm happy to move.
Fab. Anything to add?
No, only to state that at the Audit and Risk Committee we had another robust discussion around health and safety, and it was noted that there was ongoing improvement in terms of the framework that the Council's applying, and that councillors all support that. Thank you.
Wonderful. I will second it. Oh, no, Deputy Mayor would like to second it?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Would you like to speak now?
Yeah. Kia ora. I just want to thank the team, particularly last week I had the privilege of being at the Huinga Kaihoi staff hui, and it was quite exceptional, but a standout for me was the delivery of our health and safety team, Wendy and TJ. Thank you so much. You're really working hard to establish a culture within our organisation, and I think the Speak Up video was really empowering, so just want to give you a big thumbs up for that mahi.
Great, thank you. Any further debate? Councillor Matthews.
Just very briefly, and I guess in reflection of the matters raised in questions, I'd just like to note that when it comes to the health and safety culture of this organisation, that it requires leadership from us as elected members to set a tone in how we interact with both the workforce of council and also with each other. So I just want to note that. Thank you.
Thank you. Right of reply?
No, I think the debate has covered everything. Thank you.
Fabulous. Let's move to a vote. And that has passed. Wonderful. So now we move to our final item, which is in public excluded. So what we're going to do is get through public excluded, take a 5-minute toilet cup of tea break, and then just come back and smash out that final item. Okay, so officers recommend that the public is excluded for the following part of the proceedings of this meeting. The reasons are listed in front of you. I'll move the motion. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Matthews. Any debate? Wonderful. Let's vote. That is passed, thank you, and we'll take a break. I'll call you back in about 5 minutes.
No, you don't,
lot longer. So just come, it'll just be downstairs in the Merrill big room. Come as you go, whatever, up to you. We're good? Yeah. Okay, I declare the meeting closed. Please join me in a karakia. Unuhia, unuhia, unuhia ki te uru tapu nui, kia wātia, kia māma, te ngākau, te tinana, te wairua, koi ara, oh my God! Iria ke ki runga, wātia, kia wātia, aira, kua wātia. Yeah, thank you. It was almost a perfect meeting.